Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while that I've been creating content for you, but I'm excited to talk about Mars and Gemini today because I see Mars's transit through Gemini as a pivotal point in our human evolution for the next 7 months. And so I really felt called and inspired to talk about it so I can help you make the shifts and decisions that Mars and Gemini now really requires us to do. And we will go into charts and details because, as I always like to say, there's cosmic poetry. The universe is speaking to us, the stars are speaking to us, and really letting us know what our collective assignment is during this important time in history. And so if you are excited to jump to really go into the new world, the new paradigm for yourself, but are kind of confused and lost in how to actually do that right now, then I pray that this video is really helping you to go towards your dream and your highest calling and stay in alignment with the new frequency that you want to move towards. So definitely dive into this video, dive into your own chart, really sit with the decisions that the universe is pushing you right now to really do, and then act from that place and act from that space, and really knowing and trusting that it leads you to a new and better world. Because with this Mars in Gemini, what I really sense for all of us is a split, right? Gemini, it's the twins, it's the split, it's the local environment as well, Gemini, that is really being reshuffled for you, or that needs to be changed, right? And this Mars in Gemini period is really interesting for many reasons, because Mars will be retrograding in that Gemini area, and we had a Venus retrograde in Gemini in 2020 with the eclipses in Sag and Gemini. And now we have Mars retrograding Gemini with the eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus, which is really pushing us towards making changes in our immediate environment, local community, mind, headspace, right? That's all Gemini, in order to be in alignment with the highest value and the highest truth and the highest, worth that we want to claim for our life, right? The best of the best, not settling for less anymore. A new future, a new paradigm. And so much of that has to do with really allowing yourself to choose the different road, right? To choose a different path, to maybe see your life from a different perspective as well, and have the courage to really let go of that old life, of that old environment, of that old community, of that old, of these old conversations even that you have. So we will sense a shift in a lot of people not really resonating with the usual things they have consumed, right? The usual things they let in their mind. It's just not resonating anymore. And we have to fight for our frequency. We have to really fight Mars and stay in the truth of our frequency and of the new frequency that we want to claim. There was this quote that I saw on Instagram, and I think it's so relevant. And it's all about, you cannot make decisions, right, that would work in the old paradigm and expect yourself to be in the new paradigm, right? So it's all about having that courage to choose a completely different road. And some people might call that flaky, or that you're not reliable, or might be confused or surprised even. And you might even surprise yourself for choosing that path. But it's all about that Uranus and Taurus shakeup that we also feel at the very same time, where we feel and sense in our entire being, in the body, Uranus and Taurus, right? Taurus is the body. We sense in our body, we cannot go the old way anymore. It's time for an upgrade. And that upgrade does not just mean physically, right? Spiritually, emotionally. It also means literally physically in your environment. It's time to move. You're not a vibrational match, like quite literally in your DNA, you're not a vibrational match to that old life anymore. It just doesn't feel good anymore. It just doesn't fit anymore, right? And so see that and allow yourself to make those pivotal changes and shifts. And I say that on a very personal note too, because I felt called to move as well, and I couldn't really explain why. And it's not the kind of move that I usually do, where it's like traveling and airplane and all of that. It's like I want to settle and ground and root myself into this new being that I am now, right? And get to know that new being, because we've had so many upgrades and shifts vibrationally on the planet already. It's only normal and natural that you are not a vibrational match to that old life anymore. And for a lot of us, that meant we have to go back to our family, back to our roots, heal it from the root, right? And now we can move towards a more liberated self with more liberated cells, right? But then you also have to take the responsibility for your future, which Saturn is still in Aquarius, where we say, okay, then it's also time to move into that new chapter. And that might mean, depending on where that Gemini area is in your chart, it can mean with friends, with people, with conversations you have, with things that you consume and learn and study, with everything that's going on in your mind, right? How you speak to yourself as well, how you speak to others, the words that you use, the language that you use, the conversations and topics that you surround yourself with every single day. But more than anything, also, again, your local environment. I think local environment will be a pivotal thing, because that's where we can really sense that there is this split of the earth, even, right? The split of people and frequencies and the choices they've made over those last 2 years with that entire thing that's going on globally, right? And certain people choose certain paths, and that's totally fine, and we can have understanding and compassion for that. But you then also have to take responsibility for your frequency and your vibration, and understand that you're not a vibrational match to some people anymore, right? To some people, you're just not a vibrational match anymore, and it's time to separate from them, right? Not with war, not with anger and resentment, but with peace in your heart, knowing that for you and your path and your assignment from the universe, that's not the road to choose. For them, for their assignment with the universe, it might be the road to choose, right? So we can see the split of decisions and experiences and perception about different topics on this planet with a lot more love and compassion, instead of needing other people to convince them, right, about our path and our assignment. If you know deep inside of your heart that you walk with the divine, that you walk with spirit, that you walk with your soul's path, then you don't have to justify it, basically explain it to others, or do anything that convinces others to be on your side too. You can stand in your truth completely by yourself, right? And so with all of that being said, please choose that path, even if at the beginning it might feel like, oh my gosh, it's a lonely road and I don't know if I will be supported, right? With that Mars in Gemini, it's also the courage to choose the different road, right? To choose the different path, to not settle for less, to not settle for the old life, to not go back to the old ways. This is the choice point that we all are being gifted with right now. And for 7 months, you have the opportunity to really ground and root into that choice point. The choices you make now are so important, so pivotal, and they've been in the preparation phase since Venus was in Gemini in 2020, and we had that whole Saturn Pluto conjunction in 2020. And over the last 2 years, we had so much opportunity to change and shift and pivot and work on ourselves and free ourselves, all of that. And so I want to share the charts now with you, because again, it's cosmic poetry, how everything unfolds. And that's also why I say that it's all connected. So this is the time and the point, basically, when Mars enters Gemini on August 20 today, as I speak, very much with the moon on my Mercury. With the moon on my Mars in Gemini. So I have Mars at 9 degrees of Gemini as well. And so Mars enters Gemini with Venus in Leo, with the Sun ending Leo, with Mercury in Virgo, with Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. So that looks obviously very, standard like a chart, doesn't really give us too much insights on why it is so significant. I mean, if you know astrology, then it does, but at first glance, you feel like, okay, what's the big deal about it, right? And the big deal about it is that we still have and work with that vibration of Uranus having traveled over the North Node, right? The moon just was on the North Node yesterday, so a day before Mars entered Gemini. So the moon was really integrating it into our entire beingness, our emotional body, our deeper inner unconscious self, what those shifts are going to be that we have to do with this Mars in Gemini period. So that's why it's so significant. It's literally only hours after the moon was over the South Node, over the North Node, and over Uranus, really letting us feel what this shift and pivot was all about, or is all about. And then we will have Mars, we will have the first eclipse, that's what I wanted to touch on, in October, with Mars still being in Gemini, almost at the end of Gemini, ready to station retrograde. So Mars will station retrograde at 25 degrees of Gemini, only days, and we will look at a chart in a second, only days after we have the eclipse in Scorpio. And that eclipse in Scorpio, oh, what a surprise, is in a conjunction with Venus again. And we've been talking about her. And she's also the ruler of our destiny, North Node. And she was retrograde in Gemini, right? Remembering that. And that is significant because it says that this new, deeper understanding of our DNA, of our frequency, of the values that we have, of what we have to let go of as well, will be activated through that eclipse. And it's a South Node eclipse. So it's really about the values that we need to let go of, right? That old DNA imprint that we've carried for lifetimes from ancestors, from whatever, right? From your conditioning, you need to let go of it in order to free yourself and choose a different path, a new liberated path that is then in alignment with that Venus, Uranus, and with that North Node Uranus in Taurus vibration that we also work with. And Saturn will then be stationed, or will then be forward again, so it won't be retrograde anymore, and actually squaring that Uranus, which is very pivotal as well, because it's this inner orgasmic tension that we have to liberate ourselves from those structures that have been imprinted in our psyche. So it's not an easy vibration, and eclipses are always doorways towards the next unfolding 6 months, right, where we integrate and work with those vibrations. And so only days after the eclipse, so 5 days after the eclipse, we have Mars actually stationing and moving into retrograde motion at 25 degrees of Gemini, as I said before. And that will be with Mercury now exactly where we had the eclipse, right? Mercury for the eclipse was at 22 Libra and will then be literally where we had the eclipse. So the message of the eclipse will then move into that retrograde cycle of Mars. So while Mars is retrograding Gemini, he will really be inviting us to integrate whatever that second the second or 2 degrees of Scorpio eclipse was all about. So that's why, again, those eclipse vibrations work with that Mars in retrograde motion time as well. So all of that being said, also the moon in, of course, Capricorn. We love a little bit of work that this retrograde cycle is really pushing us towards. And then we have an eclipse at 8 degrees, or 8 degrees, not 8 degrees, on the 8th of November, we have an eclipse at 16 degrees Taurus and Scorpio, with a conjunction to Uranus, very, very significant, and a conjunction with, again, Mercury. So that's a very, very significant eclipse, and it's happening while Mars is retrograde, still at 25 degrees. So that 25-degree point is really, really important. If you have any personal planets there, definitely something that you will feel over the next 7 months to a very, very large degree. And we can see that Saturn is squished or sandwiched between that eclipse and also the nodes to a certain degree, which in evolutionary astrology also always means that there's a punched potential for a skipped step, which basically means that we could skip a step in evolution if we don't jump, if we don't move forward towards that highest truth, that highest value, and liberate ourselves from those past imprints. And then again, I was talking about cosmic poetry. We have Mars moving forward again on January 12, 2023. And so why is that cosmic poetry? First of all, because Mars stations to move forward again at 8 degrees, which is where we had the moon slightly for the Ingress chart. It's also where basically the point where we have Archangel Michael's star, or like fixed point, which is Aldebaran, fixed star. But not just because of that, it's also because what we can see, it's an opposition between the moon and Neptune. And more than anything, the sun illuminates 22 degrees of Capricorn again. And we have a yacht, which I will unpack in a second. A finger of God on the day that Mars stations to move forward again. Again, Archangel Michael being involved and 22 degrees of Capricorn being illuminated again. That's for anyone who is not aware of that, where we had as well, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction point in 2020. So we had Saturn and Pluto meeting at 22 degrees of Capricorn, and that's being illuminated on the day where we have Mars stationing to move forward again, on the day where we also have a yacht in the chart that actually puts Mars at the apex point, so the release point, so the most pivotal point, basically where the universe is pointing a finger towards, to that Mars, to choosing a different life path, to choosing a different vibration that has to do with that whole entire story that started in January 2020, right, at 22 degrees of Capricorn. I mean, the universe couldn't be more loud and clear about what these next 7 months will be all about for us. It's really about choosing sides, choosing which vibration and earth you want to be in and be on, right? Also Venus squaring Uranus. It's a lot of also physical upgrades and vibrational shifts that we will sense. It's a very, very loud and clear time. And I'm speaking to you on a very personal level too, because yes, we will see a lot of happenings on a global scale, but it's really about the choices that you make from within, right? From your heart space, from really asking yourself, am I choosing a different road here? Am I choosing a different path? Or am I still playing into these old paradigms, these old patterns, and waiting for something to shift and change? If I'm actually not making the shift and change in my immediate environment around me right now, from within, right? And claim the highest values, claim the highest truth. And it all has to do with your faith, with your trust, right? Whenever we talk about a release point, we also want to integrate and work with the opposite vibration, with the Sagittarius. So your trust, right? Your faith. So ask yourself, what do you need to change about your beliefs, about yourself, your life, and how do you want to move forward? And you have this entire retrograde period, but also the entire cycle with Mars in Gemini to choose your sides, to also be flexible and open to try out different ways, right? It doesn't have to be this one way straight up from the beginning. So don't be too much of a perfectionist here, right? The biggest and most important thing for you to do is to not remain stagnant, to move and shift and pivot with the shifts and changes that happen. So that is my word and my encouragement for you for this Mars in retrograde period. I will have my Mars return, which I'm really excited about, actually a couple of Mars returns. So we will see what that means for me on a personal level, but pay attention to what's unfolding, what the universe is putting into your field, and choose the new world, the new vibration, choose the thing that scares you the most, because it probably will liberate you. And if you have personal planets or activations in your chart, and you know that right now, and you would like to have more insights and illumination basically, and activation for your DNA, for your cellular structure, for your path moving forward, then always feel free to reach out for a reading and a deep dive with me. You will find me obviously on Instagram, MagicCathyOfficial, but also just shoot me an email, info@abracadabrababy.de, if you are more curious and ready and feel called for a frequency upgrade. I work with astrology, obviously, but also with human design, with the gene keys, with my psychic insights, and yeah, tuning into your energy as a really open projector. I'm really able to tap into you and to align you with your highest path and highest potential. And that's truly what I feel I have been coming for, you know, for exactly this time. Finally, I feel like the world is getting what I was talking about for years already. And it's beautiful to see, it's beautiful to witness, because we all shift so much and we have so much more understanding and cosmic insight and vision now. And yeah, it's beautiful to move and to meet a soul family here on the planet. And I would love to connect with you. And in the meantime, you can also see and hear more if I'm, again, MIA on YouTube anymore, or again, you can find me at the Magic Cathy show, every podcast basically platform. So the Magic Cathy is also my podcast. And then of course, Instagram, where I share daily, weekly updates and upgrades about the frequencies that I pick up on, what I tap into the collective and all of the things. And so, yeah, and obviously as a Leo, some personal insights too. If you're curious, MagicCathyOfficial is my Instagram. Everything is linked down below, but I would love to hear from you. What shifted and what shifted and changed since we last saw each other here on YouTube, but also since, yeah, what do you sense in the vibration and the field and just the world? It's a scary time, but at the same time so exciting, right? Because fear in the body always feels like excitement as well. So shift and change into excitement for the unknown, the new path, and everything the universe is orchestrating in the background. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing anything. You're not even deciding anything. It's all your soul, your higher self, orchestrating all the timelines for you. You get to choose with your own free will. So make the wisest choice, the best choice to stay in alignment and to step in your magic.